Alrighty then, my royal chums, it is I, Daniel. You may call me the pop culture dude and say it with me, you know what it is. It's definitely another Sonic the Hedgehog movie 2 news. So, not too long ago, the latest on-set photos that totally break the internet, well, according to the fan base, is where they caught the eye of those latest on-set photos, where technically we get to see a fan-favorite Easter egg reference, and it's none other than G.U.N, aka G.U.N, the military organization that has been acknowledged from Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic the Hedgehog, and heck, even some episodes from Sonic X, and we definitely get to see a lot more on-set photos that's been taking place in the daylights being filmed at Fort Langley, where the Green Hills town is being taken place in. So first things first, I want to take a look at this helicopter again, not just because it's the exact same model that is a homage to that same helicopter from Sonic Adventure 2, as the G logo has SA2, short name for Sonic Adventure 2, but I also got to acknowledge this one Twitter user named Andrew whatever who eventually posts. Don't know if anyone pointed this out yet, but the tail of the helicopter has the numbers 6/18/01, the original release date for Sonic Adventure 2. I'm like, oh yeah, I could definitely tell, June 18, 2001. That is definitely a nice homage to that, since, you know, that's where it's originated from, its release date of Sonic Adventure 2. It also reminded me from what Renato Ren posted that it's going to be more like their own organization, like the MCU does with Shield and Sword, and it definitely leaves me with Kid Tweet's more on-set photos of the G.U.N vehicles up close. So let's play Escape from the City as we look over the photos. Helicopters, jeeps, tanks, more tanks, tanks in the night, more armored vehicles with secret code names. We even have some outdoor perspective of the mechanized vehicles, but also we get to see the vehicles lining up ready for fire. Wait, what? That doesn't sound right. Maybe this could be something related to what kits we posted from this Instagram user. According to the guy who's seen this picture, he has seen James Marsden on set. And wait just a minute. This is no Hallmark movie, according to this Twitter user that pushed hashtag Fort Langley, hashtag Jim Carrey. I'm like, wait just a minute. We definitely see G.U.N soldiers, yes, exactly what you remember from the video games, or at least you watch episodes of Sonic X, lining up at the Mean Bean coffee machine. And I'm like, wait a minute. This was the same Mean Bean coffee machine that Wade, who was eventually strolling around a scooter, and then we see the stunt double being picked up by something CGI, which I'm assuming it's Tails, or it could be some other egg drones by Eggman if he does return from the Mushroom Planet along with Agent Stone. But I'm like, wait just a minute. Like, so you're telling me that all these G.U.N military vehicles are going to be taking place in the daytime, like during in Green Hills? I'm like, oh boy. This is going to be some pretty intense action sequence that's going to happen. But what is it going to be? I mean, if James Marsden is spotted on set, so that means it could be possibly that Tom Wachowski is in danger, especially for Sonic and possibly Tails too. It also definitely reminded me of one of my comment users named Nikista Arena, if I mispronounced your username, I'm sorry, where eventually you put, it totally makes sense for the government to fund or reactivate G.U.N after the events of the first movie to combat Robotnik as well as Sonic. They were still looking for Sonic at the end of the movie after all. Yeah, that's very true. It makes sense in the film universe while respectfully referencing the source material. I really like this. But also, now that you mentioned about they hired Robotnik, the government themselves has to search for Sonic the Hedgehog ever since the first movie, it reminds me from what Renato Ren posted. I wouldn't be surprised if Commander Walters come back as the director of G.U.N, and I'm like, no way. They kind of do look the same if you think about it, and I'm like, okay, this actually looks pretty interesting. If he happens to be the commander of G.U.N, that would actually be the least surprising, but at the exact same time, it will make a lot of sense. Let's not forget why Robotnik was hired by the government in the first place, all because the commander believes that he's highly intelligent with his 300 IQ, who eventually uses egg-shaped drones to scan around for what caused the casualty of the power blackout outage in Green Hills, and the fact that he's going to be after Sonic the Hedgehog, all just because he's a silly little alien, but also uses unlimited energetic power that eventually will use him as a scientific guinea pig and track down Tom Wachowski, since he's the one defending Sonic the Hedgehog and who's the one who punched his poor little orphan face. And in the words of Dr. Robotnik, that's one small step for man, one giant leap for me. And if you remember from the end credit scenes, he's down but not out. Like, if he escapes from the Mushroom Planet and returns to Earth with a lot more, with a bushier mustache, bald, and possibly fatter, with a more gravelly voice, I have a feeling that he might be involved in this scene with the military vehicles as well, like in the casualties, what's happening in Green Hills. And since James Marsden is supposed to be spotted in the scene, I'm assuming that Green Hills is in danger, that Robotnik is back for his revenge, and characters like Tom, Sonic, Maddie, and possibly Tails too could be in danger in this. And what about Knuckles the Echidna? How would he fit into this situation? Well, if you look back in the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie where Sonic was a small child and he had a guardian named Longclaw, right? And eventually, with great power comes hungry bad guys, and it's none other than the Echidna tribe, who eventually, well, assumingly kills Longclaw, which was Sonic's only closest person that he can connect with before he's all alone on Earth. And that's why I'm thinking, like, well, if Knuckles is eventually gonna be a part of Earth, I'm thinking that he probably might interact with Robotnik, like, if it's either in the Mushroom Planet or maybe somewhere before. I'm not really sure. You guys can think of your best theories, but I'm mostly, like, thinking of, like, maybe Knuckles the Echidna might have a deal with Robotnik, just like in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, but also in Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic X, where he tricks Knuckles of thinking Sonic and Tails are the enemy, but in reality there isn't. But now, since we're in the canon of the movie universe, this could possibly mean that Sonic could eventually find Knuckles back where he first viewed him as a fellow, just because his species, the Echidna, killed someone that was so close to him when he was very young. But all Knuckles theories aside, I'm like, wait a minute, so since G.U.N is eventually a part of this movie, but also they originate from Sonic Adventure 2, and some people assume that Shadow the Hedgehog may have an involvement in it, and I mentioned it before that I think it's a little too early. Like, I think like an end credit scene to sub up for a third movie would be a lot more smart decision, just to have more screen time and development for like a later movie, not just oversaturated with way too many characters in one movie. It reminds me of what the Green Hills Devil put, and like, I get it, the reference. Also, G.U.N on Sonic 2, my theory is that maybe they're recording the post-credit scene with Shadow and the why G.U.N is there. Well, I don't think that's the post-credit scene, but now that you mentioned that G.U.N and Shadow the Hedgehog, what if that is one of the end credit scenes? And boy, if that was the after credit scene to set up the third movie, if the second movie becomes financially successful, then that will be way past cool. And I almost forgot, we actually get to see Jim Carrey on set. He's flying on the set of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, filming this week at Fort Langley, where he can't wait to find a scene where Sonic buys an antique chair. An antique chair, what? And now we get to see the full look, his full evolution look of Dr. Robotnik. Like, he's wearing the exact same black clothing from the first movie, but look, he has the big bushy mustache and his goggles, and I'm like, oh yes, reconnaissance! Come on, cheer up. So I'm definitely excited that we actually get to see Jim Carrey on set on Dr. Robotnik, flying up to the air. It just makes me really happy to see Jim Carrey reprising a role again since Ace Ventura 2, Dumb and Dumber 2, and playing Robotnik again for a Sonic the Hedgehog sequel, and the fact that he looks accurately like Dr. Eggman from the games, but with his classic black suit from the first movie. And since he is up in the air nearby Green Hills, I'm like, oh boy, it is Robotnik all along. It was Robotnik all along. So I knew it that Dr. Robotnik will be involved in this scene during the military base as I'm making this video. Gosh dang it, I love you, Jeff Fowler, already. Look what came out of my egg sack. But anyway, all of my fanboy nature aside, I definitely am satisfied for what I've seen so far. But other than that, we actually get to see some other on-set foes, like we see Tom's police car from the first movie, and I think that's pretty clever. But now, that's everything I have to say about Sonic the Hedgehog 2. The action sequences looks pretty interesting, and they're still going to continue filming until April 23rd. So, that's all I have to say for this video, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next Sonic Movie 2 news video. Take care now. Bye-bye then.